To Reading Christian School's Back to School Night in the strange world of COVID-19. I am Mr. Swan, and I'm going to run you through a little presentation to just tell you guys a little bit about my classes, how I run things, and let's get into it. Okay, some focus topics that keep me on topic and on task here. So some things about myself. My name is Ryan Swan, and I accepted Christ when I was 5 years old, raised in a Christian home, and went to high school, college up at Simpson University, graduated in 2008, and then I ended up joining the Army after college, went back to school after a term in service about 5 years ago now. And now I am a teacher, and I believe that the Lord has really called me into teaching, and it is what I'm really, really passionate about. I'm married. I have a son that attends Reading Christian School, and our family has absolutely loved being a part of the school. Okay. Theme for the year: stand firm, and how it pertains to my class. What I'm trying to really focus in on my class, this also goes into a little bit of my philosophy of education, is focusing on how to stand firm in the Lord despite the overwhelming distractions and issues and problems that our world is faced with today, and looking at history to gain empathy and understanding for others, and to be like Christ in bridging the gap between Christ and ourselves as we interact with these people. Some classroom procedures that I want to highlight. We'll get more into this when I talk about Google Classroom. But the main thing for me is pretty standard stuff. Students come in my classroom, they get some hand sanitizer now, they have a seat in their assigned seats so that they're not potentially getting germs on other people's in other people's areas. And then just some traditional standard class stuff. Students stay seated when it's time to stay seated, and unfortunately we can't move around as much with the problems with COVID like I would in the past. But for right now, all assignments are going to be turned in via Google Classroom. And so policies and procedures for my class are pretty basic. Come in, sit exactly where you need to sit, so there's less risk of infection. Okay. Projects units that I've really enjoyed. One unit for my U.S. history classes that I absolutely love. I do a logistics project where students put themselves in the place of someone coming over to the United States and colonizing for the first time, and they've got to figure out what types of supplies and things like that they need. I apologize for that sound. What types of things that they need to survive in a new world for an entire year. And did you bring enough supplies, and did you bring enough things to actually make it? And they've got to do all logistical planning based on like an actual ship from the time period. It's a pretty interesting project with some real world applications. And then I do a number of other projects in my world history classes where I'll have students look at different. We're going to be studying ancient Greece soon. They're looking at different schools of philosophical thought, and they'll have a debate based on which school of thought they were assigned, and they will debate like they were one of those philosophers. Really fun activities. RenWeb is a tool that I use for grading. I update homework on there once a week ish, but right now I'm really trying to focus all assignments onto Google Classroom. The most up-to-date information that you will be receiving will be via Google Classroom. Again, I'll talk about more Google Classroom stuff in a minute, but I will do my best to get homework assignments on there. Though I do assign homework very sparingly. I don't assign a lot of homework. Most homework will be stuff that is carried over that the students didn't finish during a class period. Okay, biblical integration is huge in my class. I truly believe that we study history to gain empathy and understanding for people in our modern context in order to deliver Christ's word to them by understanding their history and understanding something about them from their past. And so integrating scripture and dialogue about how to reach people for Christ is a really big part of my class. Some more topics. Okay, Turnitin.com is something that we are working on getting implemented for all of our papers and written correspondence. When that goes live, what it is, it's a system where a student submits something they've written. It goes into a database, part of Turnitin, and then that database compares the student's paper against millions of other papers, quite literally millions, and things that have been written, and checks for plagiarism. And so it reduces the need or the desire for cheating. There's no need, but yeah, you probably know. When students need help, what is the best way to get assistance? When are you available? I'm there before school every day. I'm there after school every day. Those are great times to come find me. Other than that, I really prefer email as far as correspondence goes. I don't use my phone a ton, and when I'm at work, I never check my phone at all. So really the best way to get a hold of me is via email, and that's and students should all have my email address. I'm posting this on YouTube, so I'm not going to put that on blast at the moment. Let's see. Masks and social distancing. How is that working for you? I mean, the students are a little frustrated that they have to be wearing masks for obvious reasons. They're not super comfortable. But, I mean, we're doing the best with what we can, and the students overall, it seems like, have been so excited to be back in school and socializing and have some sense of normalcy. So despite students having to wear the mask, despite myself having to wear a mask in class, I believe it's really been good for the students overall to be back together again. Again, best way to contact me is via email. And then Google Classroom access and uses. I have given all the students in all of my classes Google Classroom codes, and if they have not signed up for Google Classroom, they need to use their Reading Christian email address and their Reading Christian email address only to sign up for their classes. It allows us to do some things that we couldn't do when they were using their personal email addresses. So please have them, if they have not already signed up for Google Classroom, please have them do that. The students should all have the codes, and all of my assignments for the entire school year, with the exception of exams, I'm going to have students turning in via Google Classroom. And a couple reasons for that. One of the main reasons is if a student gets quarantined, they get sick, they have to be out for 14 days, but maybe it was just a cold, they're sick for 2 days and then they feel fine, but they can't go to school, they can still keep up with their schoolwork the entire time they're out, along with their peers and classmates. So I'm going to do my best to post everything online so that if a student is not physically in class, they can still complete all of their work. And then another thing is transferring sickness via physical papers all the time didn't really seem to be in the spirit of really trying to flatten the curve and be good about reducing the risk of infection for COVID. So I'm going to have students turn in all assignments, whether they do them in class or out of class, via Google Classroom. There's some easy ways to do that. If they physically handwrite something out, it is very, very easy to, if you have a cell phone or tablet or something like that, you download the Google Classroom app, and then it's as simple as you click on the assignment. There's an option to click a button so that you can take a picture with your phone. You take a picture of the assignment, hit submit, and that's basically it. Or they'll be typing things out and submitting them that way. But Google Classroom is going to be a big part of my classroom this year, just with all of the safety precautions we're trying to take via COVID, because of COVID-19. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I know that this is a lot, and you're getting a lot from